Welcome everyone. As you can see, I am playing 7 Days to Die Alpha 19. No, actually, I am not. So these pictures are actually shared by Mad Mole, Mr. Joel, who's one of the co-founders of the Fun Pimps. Today we're going to look at a little bit of the news that has been come out. Fun Pimps were doing or started doing their 3 times a week stream series with the developers and artists and the co-founders, where they walk through a bunch of information of what's coming for Alpha 19, what's not coming, but specifically what are the changes, how does it look, how does it work, how does it feel. And the stream that they had out on the 12th on Saturday was something like probably about 3.5 hours. Well, I think it was actually Friday for people in the US, but it was Saturday here for me in Asia time zone. And it's really, really long. So I've gone through some of it and picked out some of the pieces that I think were interesting enough to sort of highlight and bring out. But I will leave a full link. Well, I would leave a link to the full video in the description below. So if you want to take the time to watch that one, go ahead. It has a lot more information than I can cover in a short video like this. But I'm going to go through some of the specifics. And I hope you enjoy that. Again, just as sort of as a preview of what's coming in Alpha 19 without you spending hours and hours watching a stream. But first, let's look at some of these builds that Mad Mole has put out on his Twitter. So this is his house that he's doing in one of his playthrough. I don't know whether it's the second, third, or fourth, whatever. But you can see it makes it look actually really nice. He's actually a good builder, aesthetically pleasing and everything. It's got multiple levels. You look from this view, you know, the light and everything looks really nice with the sky. He's got obviously some ladders on the side to get up on the rooftop. He's got some defensive measures there. Inside looks really good, maybe because of the changed light, but it just looks really nice and cozy. I like it. I really like it. And from the top view, you see it's got a nice view. No trader, surprisingly, but it's got a nice view. But I'm not really sure that it will stand up to a Blood Moon Horde, because they will definitely break in through the doors, either at the bottom floor or at the top floor. But I don't think he's going to use this as a horde base. This is probably more it's sort of testing the building and everything. One thing hopefully that he does when he plays this, he realizes that, hey, we need some nice good textures that are beautiful, because that makes building our own bases a lot more interesting. And I'm now switching over to the main video that they've shown, which is with Richard, founder, co-owner, designer, and one of the senior developers, Mr. Prime.
And then Friday, 6/26, we tentatively, barring something exploding, will be covering Streamer Weekend. And we hope to give it to you guys Sunday or Monday. After that 6/26.
And this is a key. So this is from Richard's mouth about the release date of Alpha 19, looking at 26th for the stream team, out of which I am one of them. So do make sure you check my streams either on YouTube or Twitch on the 27th and 28th of June. But it will end up with an experimental release on the Monday, on the 29th, assuming everything goes well, as he says. And this is really key. So again, this is not just me saying it. Now you can hear from the Fun Pimps saying it themselves, and the founder and co-owner.
But in Alpha 19, this is a breakdown of kind of the big features for it. We have pulled the trigger on linear color space sliding, which is physically based rendering. Unity supports physically based rendering, and we have it's amazing. It's beautiful. Justin Owens, our senior technical artist, has pushed for that aspect, and I'm really glad that we listened to him, you know, on that. You know, it's this really smart guy. He's a senior developer who used to work at id Software, and him and Sean Liptic have overhauled the lighting, and it looks fantastic. The trees, how things are rendered, it's just beautiful. And you know, things don't look washed out when you turn up gamma to see things at night. So it's hard to describe, but instead of the game having a kind of a halfway point of physically based rendering, we actually have it full. We're taking full advantage of Unity's
And you can hear that they've changed out some of the rendering now, what's called physically based rendering. I don't know the specifics of it, but if you've played Alpha, I think 17 and 18, you will notice that when you turn the gamma out, meaning you make it brighter, all the colors get super washed out. I mean, some of them even actually lose the color entirely, especially when it's really dark. And I guess they've changed that so they actually can keep those vibrant colors, which is really important because some people end up playing with slightly higher gamma because it makes it more visible. When I make videos or I stream, I definitely do that because otherwise people can't see what's going on. So you turn it up, but then you lose all the colors and it looks like crap. So I'm really glad they fixed that.
That's pretty good. We have full improved gamepad support, meaning every feature in the game that is functional on gamepad works, and we improved driving mechanics, so it's a little more standardized: right trigger gas, left trigger brake.
And you can hear the full gamepad support. I don't play with the gamepad, but a lot of people actually do, and it's great that they finally have full gamepad support. And they also mention making the driving a bit more intuitive. Hopefully that also applies to the gyrocopter, which is actually fairly difficult to control, especially if you've never flown it before.
Female and male are redone in HD. Here, look for the character artist characters. We have a plethora of HD characters, almost too many to mention. Monday night, look for the character artists to highlight the HD characters. Player arms and female and male are redone in HD. Two of the traders are HD, but there's quite a few zombies. We don't know how many are going to make it yet because we have a pretty strong strike team there working on characters.
And you hear that they've increased the high definition models, apparently not just for the zombies, but even for the player. That'll be interesting to see because that's been something that people have been requesting, to get better player models. You don't necessarily see it when you're playing single player unless you sort of detach the camera or go into third person. But if you're playing multiplayer, you see it immediately because your friends are around. So that's really nice to hear. And the more, the better.
Dynamic music, Mr. Zach Roberts and Sam Stryker and his partners at Native Darkness have worked on the content, but Zach has programmed and done a really good job of making dynamic music broader, more content. There's suspense, there's exploration, there's combat, there's home day, home night, there's trader music, and it's more like the vision that we originally intended. Alpha 18 had exploration, but this is more full featured and has a lot of expansive content, so you have more variety there.
And this is something that I think is really important. I've been saying this for multiple versions now, that we need more in-game, not just sounds, but music. Set the tone, set the feeling. Are you out at night feeling exposed, scary sounds in the wasteland or the burnt forest, or are you exploring a dungeon? Are you in combat? And I'm really glad that they've expanded on this. On the music system in Alpha 17, the dynamic music system was a bit of a hit and miss. It was not super bad, but it could be a little bit awkward. You're sitting at home, you get this percussion kind of music that's like, okay, it doesn't quite fit and everything. I'm glad they've sort of changed that up and expanded, because I know a lot of other games will have really nice background music or sounds. I can mention Subnautica is awesome for this. You have Empyrean has also really good. Some other games out there who really take advantage of that to set the atmosphere, set the mood of the game.
There's a lot of cool stuff. There's an auto shotgun, a robotic sledge. There is a drone that follows you. It was one of the more challenging features. We're not promising that in this alpha yet. It's getting close. The guys are working. Steve and Sean are working really hard on that.
So he mentioned here about the auto shotgun, and I'm actually going to show it later on as well. But he also mentioned the flying drone that is sort of a supporting mechanical companion. that will assist you. And obviously, that requires some more advanced AI in order to follow the player, not get in the way and stuff like that. And I think that's really what they're trying to work out the kinks for. And as Richard mentions here, they haven't fully confirmed that being Alpha 19, at least initial release, even though it is getting close. So let's cross our fingers that it's ready on the day that they released experimental. Otherwise, I'm sure they'll patch it into one of the stable releases, once they really get it done, because it's a really cool thing.
So, as you can see there, there's a projector on the ground
that shows me where to dig.
Yes.
And then now, for every 10 blocks, which this is affected, there's a perk that reduces it. But for every 10 blocks, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It shrunk in a little bit.
And this is really awesome. I'm really happy they've done this. This is really two things. One, they're doing on-screen displays, not just the icons, but even I like the circle. And it's allowed them to sort of do better functionality, so you really can have a perk that shrinks it faster, shrinks it more, so you can actually dig better. And you can imagine having, and they do this for things like the vehicles. They'll show it. They'll have it for the traders, so you can see the traders when you're sort of getting close. So it's got a lot of application. I'm glad they've actually done this. Just as long as they're a little bit careful, so you don't get too many of these icons either on screen or on the compass, because that can be a big issue. That's something we talked about on my stream yesterday, that when you start adding waypoints and everything on your map, your compass gets horribly just super cluttered with a lot of these icons up on the compass on the top of the screen. So that's something they have to be a little bit careful with and balance that out.
Okay, so for future quests, we have there's been a lot of stuff we've talked about for quest ideas over the last few years, but the stuff that's got the most traction and will likely get into the next couple alphas, infestation. We want to take a POI, whichever POI in the game, and we want to take the game stage times 1.5 or 2 and take the enemy count and increase it like 1.5x or 2 and offer a new quest type called infestation. And some of the guys have talked about infestation night, which is like basically infestation on steroids, because they're running and it's 2x game stage, 2x enemy count. That's pretty cool.
And that sounds really, really nice and interesting that they're doing something like that, because it's been one of the things about the quest has been fetch, clear, whatever, and that's sort of all. And I'm glad they're expanding this into something that is more challenging and better reward and just more interesting, and sort of expands on the repertoire of the quests and things that you can do in the game, because there's effectively the missions that you want the NPCs and the companions to provide you with.
Gather and craft quests. We've had a little bit of work on that, but we never got it in. Of course, once you reach a progression where you get to meet the head guy of the Duke faction, the Duke himself, or you meet Noah, the head guy from the White River, you'll be killing human enemies from each of those factions. Restore power, where you go, has been worked on, but we didn't offer it up yet because of our bandwidth for other features. Where you'd go in and you'd find generators, repair them, and restore power and see the lights come on.
Restore communications.
Repair and defend. Where do you go repair sections of wall and defend against human enemies? Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Don't forget
the blowing up the POIs.
And yeah, that's the last but not least. Well, actually, I skipped resource communications. That one Lathan mentioned, which is to go repair communications towers and reestablish communications, so one of the factions can further their cause in the universe. Blow up structures, my personal favorite. Go plant C4 on several places on a structure and watch the building come down with physics, because
Yeah.
7 days to die is fully destroyable, fully buildable.
And I think you can see how the quest system is sort of evolving into more possibilities. Obviously, it does require the factions to be out there, the NPCs, the bandits and everything, White River and the Dukes and everything. You need to have those in the game so you can actually start getting that interaction with them as well, not just the traders. You can see sort of how Richard talks about the different quests that opens up, and sort of that's part of the story as well of the game, and sort of the medium to late game progression in the game, giving you more to do than simply killing zombies, building, farming, killing zombies, building, farming.
The future looks good for us. We think we're going to get it back on console. We don't know if it'll be current gen or will it be next gen. We almost feel like next gen is a better suited candidate for our game, because it's always been performance challenged. You know, the Xbox Scarlet and the PS5 are a little more in parity with current gen PC. Therefore, we think draw distances, enemy counts, texture quality will be in parity with PC. I personally have a dream, and don't put this on your roadmap, that we port to the next gen consoles. It runs really good. We go gold on PC. We offer crossplay between those someday. I think that would be amazing, and that's what I would love to see on the console.
And you hear it from Richard. You can see he's very passionate about console as well, and he talks about crossplay, about having being gold on PC and the crossplay with the console, etc. Because I think that's how he looks at it. It's sort of like everyone being in the same community and playing together. But there is obviously the challenge with current gen not having the power to really work with good performance in the game, because even on PC, good higher end PCs, the game is not running super well. So next gen is more likely for that, and I think that's sort of what mimics what they've been saying before about existing console unlikely, but next gen is really what they're trying to focus on. It's much more likely, and I'm glad to hear Richard's sort of view of actually doing crossplay. I think that would be cool. I'm not really sure it's going to happen, but it would be cool.
Let's see. Are you planning to add bosses? So we did say the Duke and Noah would be kind of an end target. I don't know per se if we're doing bosses. I mean, we might be.
There's going to be some higher end special infected coming with various abilities. We're very committed to that idea. Zombies that might buff or resurrect, or maybe a little more Resident Evil style, where they might have like a yield a weapon even. I know it's going to make some people's head explode that we're not trying to do John Romero style zombies, but that's the game we've always wanted to make, and we hope that people like that.
Oh, and that's really nice. And people have been asking about this, so it's really nice to see them address this, hearing from Richard about it, because people have been asking for more zombies, whether it's boss zombies, special zombies, abilities and everything, to really broaden the, not just having, Demolisher runs up and gets triggered and blows up your base. I mean, yeah, that's a challenge there. Not so fun of a challenge, because there's so much destruction, and not simply killing you, it's destroying your base, which is a problem in itself. But having special infected, like talk about resurrection and stuff like that, and I think this will really make it. You can imagine this being combined with infected buildings, affected buildings at night, and everything that he talked about early on the quest and everything about having these special zombies there.
Yeah, just try Mo and see what happens.
Oh no, that is him. There's Mo, everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, stop it.
And you see Mo HD, and look like, was he wearing glasses as well? Oh, it looks really good. It definitely looks better than before. Obviously, they have a lot of these new ones, and I think they don't have all the new HD zombies in this version yet. I'm sure they're still fixing some of these things up, but nice to see Mo.
Sure. I mean, I guess I could also show them the trader to trader.
Oh yeah. So After you do a number of quests for a trader,
Quite the daring adventure. Good job.
you have to.
The tier 1 complete.
Yeah, you get an opening routes quest, which
Oh,
directs you. It directs you to the next trader that's closest.
So now it shows got any special jobs, and then opening trade routes. It's 1.3 kilometers to the northeast.
I've got a bit of a problem. Can you
So
help me
tell
out?
the folks at Trader Hugh that our dukes are shiny, and they will have a reward and more work for you.
Oh, really nice. You saw the Trader Gen, the new the new Trader with the new HD model and everything, and nice Gen voice. And this is a really nice thing about opening routes to other traders, because it is an issue when you're playing. Unless you really explore and sort of comb the countryside, you don't find the traders. And it does make sense that a trader knows, well, where the other traders are, because they're part of the same network, and allows you to sort of expand and find out where they are without spending hours and hours just looking around. So this is a really cool feature.
And then,
And then it reload.
okay. Okay, since we're doing this, let's make him look at me. Let's do, I don't know,
Soldiers, feral soldiers or something. There you go. Radiated soldiers.
I reloaded too early.
And you see here the auto shotgun. Now, it was kind of funny that it chose to have not just soldiers, but radiated soldiers, because the problem with shotgun shells is that they give, I think, plus 20 or plus 40% armor, and soldiers already have 20% armor, so I think that gives them up to about 60% armor or something, so they take a lot less damage from shotgun blasts. And of course they're radiated, so they also heal, so it takes them a long time to actually kill all these 25. If it was something that didn't have armor, it would have probably made more sense, or if you use slugs, that armor piercing slugs. But it's really nice to see, because they're, and I think this is the top tier shotgun type, because in the previous version you have the regular shotgun, which had about 8 slugs in it, and it was slow firing and everything, didn't have enough magazines. So once you got further into the game, it was really weak, because you couldn't use it enough against the larger groups of zombies. If you compare it, for instance, the M60 or the AK-47 or even the SMG. You can see here the beautiful background. You see the light in the background. This is the burnt forest. I think they've made it a little bit more smoky, not as bad as before, but you can see I like the sort of reddish glow or the orange glow in the background. Definitely looks a lot better, a lot more vibrant than it did in Alpha 18, where it was really just dark and grimy and everything. This looks just beautiful. I like it.
A little teaser.
At that one? Is that what we're showing, this Cracker book right here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There is a Crack-a-Book, a new Crack-a-Book store. This
Okay.
is the little one.
Everybody, I'm not going in, but you can see the outside. Because I'm sure
can
this
see-
is one of the things that they may want to,
Yeah. So
you can kind of get a glimpse. Looking
all
through
the old
windows.
stores have been redone, and we're introducing 2 new store types. The only teaser I'm going to give you is that there's an electronics store. I'm not going to tell you the brand name. And there's a clothing store that looked badass, and I'm not going to tell you the brand name.
Really nice. I mean, new POIs, redone POIs is really important, because once you've been playing the game for a while, a lot of the POIs, especially for your random gen, they sort of, it's the same POIs everywhere, and having new ones just keeps it fresh, keeps it interesting to explore and everything. Because you can imagine, if you have 50 different POIs, once you've cleared it once, you're kind of bored with them. You'll re-clear them again for the loot. You can imagine if you had 250, now you have 5 times the amount of POIs to actually explore, and it's fresh every time you do it, right? Because you get a new one. And not that I'm advocating for them to have thousands and thousands, but definitely have different ones. And it would be cool actually if they had the same POI, but being slightly different, meaning that, for instance, you had the new Cracker book, but then you have another version of which that looks essentially the same, but then they've maybe changed a little bit thing around. Maybe the bookshelves are a little bit different. Maybe not a car which is broken or driven through the the front of it, and just make it a little bit different so it's not as predictable each time. So you have some variants of it. Maybe that's something they won't be doing, but it would be really cool just to give a little bit more variety without having to require them to make a whole new POI. Just have some variants of the same one.
Well, we've talked about expanding the map features for locations you find. So
Yeah,
you know,
they're more talking about whenever. So, and I can show you exactly what they're talking about if you want to look at the screen. So whenever I make a waypoint and I say test. Okay, so now test. Even though I'm not tracking it, it still shows on the. Is that the one? No, that's the one. I think. Yeah, it still shows even though it's inactive.
right?
But I mean, there's situations where you would want that. So I think what they're really wanting is like a third toggle where it's like, you know, it's tracked or it's like tracked or untracked or just don't show it at all. 100%.
And this is actually, I'm glad they had that on the stream actually, because I had that issue as well. I mean, I talked about during my stream yesterday where I had literally, I don't know, 100 different waypoints or markers on my map, and my compass at the top was just totally cluttered. And you know, people were saying the same thing. Murph was saying they had the same issue, that just have so many of them. You have, if you have airdrops marked and everything, you can have 20 of them around. And it would be nice to be able to toggle them. Do you show them or not? Because the compass is so super clustered. But yeah, there's a lot of new stuff in. Obviously, I can't cover the whole 3.5 hours in this video, but I've tried to hit some of the sort of the highlights of things that I thought were noteworthy. And hopefully you enjoy this, and I'll be doing that for the other streams as well if I have time to do that and they have enough interesting content in it. Hopefully enjoy this, and do subscribe to my channel as well, and catch me again next time, which will probably be Tuesday, Wednesday when I cover the next stream. Until then, stay psyched for Alpha 19.
Special thanks to the great patrons supporting the channel. If you would like to join the vetted community and support these videos, do follow the Patreon link.